The gunshots were louder now, and as I got closer, I saw that Frank hadn't disappeared at all, but had flopped his horse to the ground and was using the horse's belly to balance his rifle. "Curly, you best get down. You don't want to catch lead," Frank said. I looked forward and saw a group of men on horseback headed our way. Then I heard a whistling noise and my left ear was ringing. A bullet! I pulled up on the reins and jumped off horse and used him to steady my rifle as I aimed. Behind me I could hear Baxter and Merle approach. "Get down!" I yelled. Baxter and Merle dropped off their horses and knelt in the snow and took aim with their rifles as the group advanced. "Make your shots count," Frank said. "You don't, we'll be overrun." "Who is it?" I asked. "Well, Curly, I reckon it's the bad guys," Frank said, racking a bullet into his rifle. "Rider in front," Scout said. "He was sitting on his horse like he didn't have a dang care in the world, like he was taking in a parade or some such. I expected at any minute to see a bullet take his head off." "I see him," Frank said. "Best do for him, I reckon," Baxter said. "He's coming right at us." He started to take aim, but Frank said, "Not him, Baxter. I reckon he's the one those fellas are after. Best leave him be." The rider was laying out over the saddle, trying to make as small a target as possible, shooting his rifle back behind him every once in a while. "Best get out of here," the man said as he raced right on past us. We ignored him, because right on his heels were what looked like 15 or so men on horseback giving chase, all of them shooting. It sounded like sudden thunderclaps, and clouds of smoke shot out from their rifles. I could hear them yelling and screaming. On they came, and fast. Frank shot, and the man in front, his hat flopping in the wind, bent over and dropped from the saddle. Then Baxter shot, and another rider fell. Merle shot, and I shot.
Ben had never felt so cold in his life. An icy wind had been blowing all day, and he'd spent a good deal of time with his hands in his armpits, trying to keep them from going numb, leading the horse west with his knees. The sun set, and it got dark, and the chill got mean. He tried to create a shelter, but had to give up on it when he could no longer feel his fingers. His stolen horse was not happy, but at least it provided warmth, and he leaned over the horn and tried to get as close to it as possible. He was walking through the darkness, looking up at the night sky, at the millions of stars up there, and he started to cry. He didn't know if he was going the right way. He was hungry, he was cold, he was confused, and if he could do it all over again, he wouldn't have shot that guy. He wouldn't have cheated at cards, and so wouldn't have got caught, and wouldn't have had to defend himself by shooting the brother of a Texas Ranger. Ben was walking along on his horse and feeling sorry for himself and apologizing to the heavens, begging for leniency, when he suddenly felt himself falling. He hit the ground and rolled in the snow and checked himself to make sure he hadn't broken any bones. He was bruised and disoriented, but not hurt. Ben looked up, and he could see the outline of the horse's head in the air above him. He stood up and turned around and saw he was at a small river. It had just shown up out of nowhere. The horse must have seen the river's edge at the last second and balked. He walked around and explored. Before long, he found an overhang that dipped away from the river, and he could see evidence of previous fires. If he could start a fire, he could warm himself. In the morning, maybe he could even catch a fish, though that would be some trick. He'd never caught a fish with a fishing rod, much less with his bare hands. No matter. He would think about that later. Right now, he just needed to get warm.